This is a headrest from a company called Office Logix Shop, and it's for the Steelcase Leap V2. Originally, this video was going to be a comparison of this headrest with Crandall Office / Atlas headrest version for the Steelcase Leap V2 until I started testing the Office Logix version. I ran into so many issues with this headrest that I needed to make a dedicated video talking about these issues. You all need to know that I am very biased here because I think Office Logix Shop is a very shady company. They also attacked me over a negative review I made about the Herman Miller Embody headrest. If you want to read why I'm biased, my history with them, as well as all the shady business practices I've discovered, you guys can check out the Google Doc down below because that would be a whole dedicated video in and of itself. Also, a financial disclaimer, Office Logix decided not to list this version of the headrest on Amazon, although they list their other headrests, so because of that, I cannot earn commission on this headrest. Over here, I earn $5 per headrest if you use my link for the Crandall Office / Atlas headrest version, but if you've been following this channel, I hope I've proven at this point that I don't let commission influence my honest opinion on products. With all that being said, let's get honest. Colors, fabrics, and materials. The website description for this headrest is misleading, if not straight up false advertising. Let me read you exactly what it says. iPad! Available in multiple colors, our headrest is designed to perfectly match your Steelcase Leap V2. Whether you have a black or platinum frame, we've got you covered with the most popular 100% matching options. iPad away! I don't know about you guys, but to me, it sounds like their headrest is going to 100% match Steelcase's fabrics and color options. But when you actually look at the names of the colors of Office Logix's headrest colors, they don't match any of the color names that Steelcase uses. Also, if you look at the renders, the colors don't match in the renders either. In addition, when you look at the fabric types that Office Logix offers, you don't get any options. It just comes in one standard fabric, whereas with Steelcase, they actually offer multiple different fabric types. When I received the Office Logix headrest, I compared the fabric and weaving pattern to all of Steelcase's fabrics that they've made, and it does not match any of theirs. So, what exactly does this headrest match? It matches Office Logix's own fabrics that they use when they refurbish their Leap V2s. And again, this I feel like is misleading. I could be wrong, but that interpretation, that blurb made it sound like the fabric would match Steelcase OEM fabrics. And I think Office Logix needs to update this because again, it's either misleading at best or false advertising at worst. I want to take a second to ask that you please like and subscribe. I'm really close to 100,000 subs and I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. The Office Logix fabric is pretty rough to the touch and pretty scratchy, especially for a sensitive area like the neck. I criticized the Crandall Office BioKnit version because it was a little bit scratchy, but compared to the Office Logix is significantly scratchier. The foam in the Office Logix headrest is also very firm, especially when you compare it to the Atlas headrest / Crandall Office version. I can't speak for the Platinum version because I don't have that headrest or a Platinum version of the Leap, but I can say that for the black frame of the Leap V2, the Office Logix does a decent job matching this black color here. I will say that because it's using a thin plastic lines everywhere, it doesn't feel quite as robust compared to the Atlas headrest version, but this plastic feels pretty decent quality. Installation. Installing the Office Logix headrest is completely toolless, which is a great touch. But then in typical Office Logix form, they tee it up with another poor design decision and then boast about it like they did you a favor. So to install this thing, you have to uninstall the bottom clip here, and then you insert the entire headrest frame at an angle into the handlebar down here, and then you lift it up. And what's nice is at that point, the entire arm here kind of stays upright, so you don't need to hold it in place. You go ahead and put the bottom clip underneath, and then you screw it in. And this is where you see that weird design decision here, because the screws that go into the top that connect the bottom clip those screw holes are so close to the back of the backrest that if you turn them, you would scratch the hell out of your backrest. So what did Office Logix do? They added rubber bands to the screws so that it wouldn't scratch your backrest. But because of those rubber bands, turning those screws creates so much friction with the backrest that the rubber band keeps moving and shifting up and down. At one point, the rubber band completely fell off the screw downwards, so I had to unscrew the screw, which did scratch the back a little bit. It's really annoying, a weird design decision, but again, Office Logix was thinking about you when they did this.
As you can see, the two bolts are protected by a rubber liner. The rubber liner is there to prevent any chance of scratches on the back. We pay attention to the smallest details to ensure your satisfaction.
After screwing it in, you then take the two hooks and you put it in between the cushion and the back frame. This is where this headrest begins to really fall apart, but before I get to that, let's talk about how this thing functions. Like every other Office Logix headrest, this thing uses a 2-point pivot system, one in the back and then one in the front. This back one here is going to control the arcing motion of the headrest, and this is supposed to control both the x-axis and the y-axis, so up and down and in and out on the same pivot point, which is a little annoying. But then the second one here is supposed to control the tension of the tilting motion of the headrest itself. You also get a third control, which is back here, which is going to controlling the headrest height, and it uses a ratchet system where every time you lift it up, it's going to latch onto the next pivot, like I don't know what you call it, but the next notch down, and it'll kind of hold it in place just like that. Just like the Herman Miller embody headrest from Office Logix, the Leap headrest also has knobs that are very difficult to reach. The one that controls the swivel for the head itself is okay, but the one in the back that controls the arcing motion is very difficult to reach and puts a lot of strain on your shoulders. But you actually don't need to access those knobs very often because the Leap headrest that Office Logix made is now using a tension-based system instead of a locking one. This is a huge improvement over the Herman Miller embody headrest, which had a locking mechanism. You see, the reason why I was so critical of that headrest is because when you're using a headrest, when you're using it in an upright position, you actually need the headrest in a different position, a slightly different position, compared to when you're leaning back in the headrest. You actually need to pull it down a little bit and a little bit more forward. But if the entire headrest is locked, you have to unlock it, and again, you have to mess with those knobs every single time to unlock it and to redial it into place. With the tension-based system, you're able to move it a little bit on the fly, even when the tension is tight. But their tension system is pretty much useless. You see, even when I crank these knobs for the arcing motion completely down, like I am really cranking this thing down, you can see that I can still move this headrest with one hand. And I'll even do it from here as well. You can see just how easily this thing moves. So even with the tension cranked all the way down, this thing is never going to hold its place. And as a matter of fact, if you keep moving it, these screws continue to get loosened and you have to retighten them every single time. Compare that with the Atlas headrest version. You can go ahead and really crank it down so that this thing will never move on you whatsoever. You can see that the whole chair is moving. I actually have to hold the chair, and if I hold it, even then you can see that I'm barely able to move it forward with two hands. And same goes with the up and down motion. You can loosen it so that it's easy to move, or you can really crank it down so it does not move at all. But all this conversation about tension does not matter at all, because in using this headrest, I discovered that you can only use it in one position, and if you try to change the position, then these arm hooks will pop out. And I am not the only one who's experienced this. This experience is posted on Reddit as well, and I've heard from others that this has been an issue with the headrest. Let me explain. So when you sit inside of the chair, you cannot use this headrest in a sitting position. Because this headrest doesn't have a depth option really, it's got that arcing version, at the closest point to my head, this is as close as it gets. And as you can see, this is where I would be sitting naturally inside of the chair, and you can see that the headrest doesn't quite reach me. As a matter of fact, in order to reach the headrest, I have to go back to it, and what that does is it creates a double chin effect, especially because the backrest on the Leap is so flexible. It actually pushes back even further, and it creates this double chin effect, and it doesn't feel comfortable at all. The only way I could use it in an upright position is I have to change the way that I sit in this chair. I actually have to scooch up a little bit in the chair in order for that headrest to feel natural. But that's not the way I sit. The way I sit is I sit completely scooched back, and in that case, I would be very far back in order to make contact with this headrest. Now, one of the things I found, like how did I discover that you can't bring it in towards you at all? It's because if you're sitting upright like this, and because it's a tension-based system, I tried bringing it in towards me, and when I tried to crank it, something would happen. I think I just felt it there. Yep, the hook just popped out. And this happens all the time. If you ever try to bring the headrest closer to your head, it's gonna pop out. Now, I found that if you actually tilt back inside of your chair, again, you can only use it in one position. So look, let's say you go ahead and tilt back in your chair like this. The headrest, in order to use it in a tilt back position, you actually need to pull it a little bit down and a little bit forward towards you. But again, this is the closest that it gets, which means that your head can really only be like looking at a 45-degree angle. If you try to bring it in towards you at all, again, same thing's gonna happen if you go like this. Yeah, I think I just felt it. Yep, the hook is totally out here. Go ahead and put it back in here. Which means that you can only use this headrest tilted back and looking at a 45-degree angle into the ceiling. And if that's you, totally fine. Now, if you want it to look forward, again, what you have to do is you have to be able to bring the headrest in and down. But because you can't bring it in, I can kind of tilt it forward, and you can see that the back of my head will rest on the pad here, but my neck is going to have no support whatsoever, making this position pretty uncomfortable. To reiterate, this headrest really is only good for one position and one position only. And do you know who else made a headrest that was just like that? Steelcase. This is by far the crappiest headrest I've ever used on any chair at any price point. It is that bad. Steelcase made a headrest for the Steelcase Leap V2. It was a pad that moved up and down. It was good for one thing and one thing only, which is to tilt back and look 45 degrees into the ceiling. And Office Logix basically made the same thing despite it looking very, very fancy. Now, if you're somebody who wants to lean back and look only up at a 45-degree angle, this headrest could be a good option because it is significantly lower in price compared to the Atlas headrest / Crandall Office version. But if you're somebody who wants to use it upright, you want to lean back, you want to go ahead and look forward while you're tilting back, the Atlas headrest / Crandall Office version is going to be for you. And again, I cannot recommend Office Logix as a company. The doc will be in the description below. Check that out. And until next time, everybody, stay honest.